West Coast, Eddie C.
Eddie, did this blindside you, considering the fact that it was off a win, 3 out of 4, 3:15 in the morning, this blindside you like a blindsided the rest of us here this last day or so or not?
Yeah, you'd have to say that. You could say that it was inevitable, but at the same time, the way it was handled and what happened, it certainly caught us all by surprise, to say the least, yeah.
Okay, now when Willie, after the game last night, I'm sure you were there after the game in that locker room, and the Mets had a nice win and 3 out of 4. Willie had no idea, correct? I mean, Willie felt that maybe the tide had begun to turn a little bit, played a little better, scored some runs. He probably felt at midnight, he felt probably pretty good, correct?
Well, yeah, it was upbeat after the game. I think they played one of their better games of the year. There were some problems, but, that happened. Kept win over a good team and, did a lot of things right last night. So he was pleased. They put back-to-back wins together, and they had Johan Santana going tonight, so there was no reason for him not to think optimistically, as well as he could. He knew he was, on thin ice and the gun and all that, but, after the game, he was as upbeat as, I've seen him lately, simply because, they responded last night in a big way for him, and with Santana going, you think that maybe they can get something going. I did see him leave just before we were there late. He left for the hotel. I couldn't tell at that time if he knew, he was going to be beating Omar here or not. I would think that they probably told us they wanted to see him back here at the hotel. I don't know that for fact. I didn't get a chance to speak with him, but I did leave along with the other coaches.
Have you spoken to Willie Randolph this morning, Eddie?
I did. I spoke to him early in the morning, shortly after it happened. Just briefly, Willie was taking calls everywhere, and he was busy. We spoke to him just a little while ago. I'll give you that first. And he said he was disappointed, that he couldn't fulfill what he came here for, and that's to bring a championship to this team. He was disappointed that he was going to get cut short in that regard, and he thought he could, but he wasn't going to be given the chance. That's what he told us just a little while ago. When I spoke to him very early in the morning, probably a couple of hours after it happened, it was brief, but I did sense some relief from him as well, and he used that word that this had been hanging over him for a while, and in a sense, he felt at peace with himself, and he felt a little bit of relief, simply because it's been tough trying to get this team ready and trying to get the focus when everything is swirling around it. Again, he was disappointed and he was shocked by it, but at the same time, he told me that he did, feel at peace with himself and the job that he did, and he felt some relief too.
Did he share with you what Omar told him as to what was the final straw or the final reason why?
No, he did not. No, we didn't get into details. I didn't think that was the time. And like I said, he was a little bit pressed. The phones were ringing behind him. I could hear, and it was a tough time for him. I told him what I wanted to impart to him, and
which was. Can you share that with us? What you told him?
I thought he kept his head high during the entire time, and he had nothing to be ashamed of whatsoever. Some things did not work out for him, obviously, and we talked about a number of things over time as to how I thought that was stacked against him on a lot of fronts. Injury wise, whatever, just normal baseball stuff. But I he handled himself as well or better than any person could during this time, and did the right things and did what he could to keep this team going and keep them headed in the right direction. And they're coming out 2 wins in a row that Joey Manuel will take over tonight. So that's at least a head start for him.
Eddie, you try to explain how Omar and Fred Wilpon, because he has to take direct responsibility. Buck stops with him. He used to tell me about that sign he had in his desk, Buck stops here. It's all I ever heard about. Well, the Buck didn't stop here, because if it did, there's no way Fred could have orchestrated something this inept with the way the Mets handled this. Try to explain to me how the Mets figured this out. I mean, Friday I got Omar telling the whole world he's my manager. I got complete confidence in him for his ownership. And then, we got Woody coming to the ballpark Sunday, not knowing what the story is as far as the doubleheader is concerned. They put him on a plane, and then they tell him at 3:15 in the morning when nobody can find out about it, and then they don't talk to anybody for 14 hours. You could not. Fifth graders could orchestrate this better. My kid could put a better scenario together than Jeff, Fred, and Omar, the Three Stooges. A terrible job. Try to explain what was going through the Mets' minds here these last 24 hours.
I wish I could, Chris. I'll try. Incredibly ill-timed would be the nicest way that you could describe this. There are a lot of other ways to describe it as well. I don't know. The only thing that keeps coming to me, and I thought about this driving in on Sunday as we were getting set for the doubleheader, was that it was Father's Day, and can you fire a guy on Father's Day? And I don't know if that was the reason or the reason for this. I have no idea. They've made no comment, just like they made no comment on the length of how long Willie had. We continue since May 26th. That first meeting took place. We've continuously pressed Omar for some sort of clarification on how long Willie has. What's the status? And as I've said, guys, many times, to me, it's not being caught in a lie. It's simply, circumstances dictate that you change sometimes. All you have to do is say this guy is under contract and he's our manager, and that's it. Period. He's our manager till the end of the season. And if you go out and you lose 8 out of 10 or thereabouts and you fall further behind, well, okay, then it's time to make a change. And I think everybody, including Willie, understands that. But that never came. So obviously you're in a very nebulous situation, and that's the way we've been since May 26th. I can't understand why it was done this way, why you put a guy on a plane and fly him out here, and then relieve the coaches of the duties when they're out here. It makes absolutely no sense, and it doesn't even matter after a win. But I don't understand the thinking, the rationale behind it whatsoever.